We'll get started. We'll sit with today. Whenever we are doing any breathing practices, let us try and do it in the Swastikasana itself that we learned yesterday. The legs are out straight. It's a 90-degree here, and then uh, there is a 90-degree here. So this is a Swastikasana. Try and keep them one over the other. Sit with the back straight, and then we'll do the 3 Omkara. So today we'll try and do all the asanas, sitting, especially the breathing and practices in the Swastikasana itself. But if you are not comfortable sitting in the Swastikasana, then you can obviously turn yourself back into the Sukhasana. But preferably, whenever we are doing the standing exercises, we'll try and practice Swastikasana so that we get used to it. And then the plan is every 3 days when we change the asana types, we will change the way we sit also. Probably the next thing that we can do is Siddhasana and then Padmasana. So we'll start with Swastikasana for those of you who joined after we spoke. There's a Swastikasana is 90-degree here and then 90-degree at the both the knees. The beauty of this asana is this makes you sit with the back straight. There is no way you can sit in this posture because it kind of puts a pressure so that you put your back straight. So that's the beauty of Swastikasana. So we'll start with Kapalbhati, the regular Kapalbhati, 20 to 3 strokes, 20 times, 3 sets. So hold your hand on the around the belly button and then forceful exhalations. And if you feel tired, then you can take a pause. Try and get the exhale or push upward push from the bottom of your belly button. So it has to come all the way down, from all the way down to up. So let's do it one more time. 26. We'll do the last round of 20. Next, we'll do Shashankasana and Simha Garjanasana. And then we will come to again the breathing practices. Shashankasana and Simha Garjanasana are also breathing practices. Basically, they are fast breathing and then stress relieving exercises. So we'll go to the Simha Garjanasana, sorry, Shashankasana, sitting in Vajrasana. Hands to the side. Take a deep breath in. And then as you exhale, go down and touch the forehead to the ground. Hands to the side. Use your mouth to exhale. We'll do it the last time. So the idea is to exhale in whatever best way we can. Mouth is preferred way, but sorry, nose is preferred way. But the last few breaths that we'll have to exhale, we'll probably have to use the mouth also. So we'll do it last time. Exhale and then go down. Next is Simha Garjanasana. With the toes together, spread the knees, hands inside, back is straight. sitting like a lion, and then take a deep breath in. And when you're taking a breath in, contract your body, shrink your body. When you're completely contracted, at one burst of breath, exhale with a roaring sound. And then when you're exhaling, focus on the middle of the eyebrows. And if possible, open, put your tongue out and exhale. Focus in the middle of the eyebrows. That is the basics of Shambhavi Mudra. So middle of the eyebrows, when you start focusing, that brings a lot of stress relief and then concentration. Because whenever we are stressed, uh, it gets accumulated here. There's a lot of swelling that happens. So that is why, when you get stressed, there's a lot of massage that happens around the eyebrows. So we'll put the air out as long as the stress out with the focus on the middle of eyebrows. So we'll do it 2 times. At your own pace, take a deep breath in. When you're completely contracted, then exhale yourself. One more time. We'll again get back into our regular swastikasana if possible, and we'll do Brahmari. Brahmari is a breathing practice. First, let's get into the swastikasana. Brahmari is a breathing practice where we close the thumbs. We use the thumbs to close the ears, and then the two fingers to close the eyes, ring finger to close the nose. But before closing all of this, we take a deep breath in and then hold the air for a few seconds, whatever best you can, 5 seconds if possible. And then with the mouth closed, with the nose closed, we start chanting When you chant with the mouth closed, it becomes Sama. And because you're closing your ears, it gives you a sound of, bumblebee. So that's why it's called Brahmari. And it's very good to, de-stress yourself or, bring the concentration back. It's usually done as a introductory asana or, starting asana if you want to get into a meditational pose. So even when we are doing our daily rituals like daily puja or Sandhya Vandana, Brahmari is a part of that. Before we do the actual Gayatri Japa, which is the concentrating part, Brahmari is a part of the ritual also. So this yoga is a part of the daily puja rituals. So let's start doing that. Uh, Take a breath in, thumbs to the ears, index finger to the eyes, and ring to the nose, and mouth closed. One more time. The next asana that we'll do is Anulom Vilom. So we'll do 6 times inhale and exhale, alternate nostril inhale and exhale. In the last 2 days, we have done Surya Nulom and then Chandra Nulom, where we do the right nostril and left nostril, where we talked about the masculine part and then the feminine part. Today it is Anulom Vilom, which is alternate nostril, which brings a balance in our behavior. So hands again in Chin Mudra, the left hand in Chin Mudra. Chin Mudra is not the tip of the fingers, the index and thumb, but the bulged part of index and the bulged part of the thumb touch each other. When they touch each other at the right place, you feel a heat being generated. And the reason is both of them, those two are the entropy points in the body, and then they have a lot of energy concentrated there. And then the right hand, we'll get into the pranayama mantra. 1:2. So breathe in at a count of 1, breathe out twice the slow. So the next few asanas that we'll do is we'll do the Padahastasana. We'll do the series of Padahastasana itself, and then we'll do Vrukshasana and Samkonasana. So to start with Padahastasana, stand with the toes together, preferably. Back is straight. Get the stretch. Hands up. As you exhale, go down and bend forward. Then slowly go down. Hang your body down. If you're able to touch the ground, then tie your hands and then still continue to hang the body. Staying there in this posture helps you get body flexibility. Slowly see if you can take your hand all the way down and then touch your feet. If you can't touch your feet, stay wherever you can. If you can touch your knees, well and good. Wherever best you can, try to find a stable point and stay there. The idea is to keep the knee straight. So keeping the knee straight, if you think you can only bend so much, which is perfectly okay, but listen to your body and bend only that much. Don't try to put more stress on the body. By regular practice of this yoga over months and years, you'll be able to go all the way down, touching the hands here, and then even you can go further down where you can put your forehead to the knees. That's the ultimate part of the asana. But right now, we'll do only Padahastasana. Keep the knee straight. Hold the toes. Pull the toes down and look up. It gives you a lot of stretch in the entire body. Knees are straight, toes are pulling your hands down, and you are looking up and pulling yourself up. Look down. If possible, hands go beneath the feet. Knees straight. This is Padahastasana, where feet and the hands come united. Slowly come back up. The next asana that we had on our list was neck rotation. So we'll do the rotation of the neck 3 times each side. Again, couples with breathing practices. Inhale as you raise your neck, exhale as you bring it down. So we'll do it slowly, but make sure the stretches are deep enough. Change the direction. The next asana that we have is we'll start with Vrikshasana. there are multiple forms, multiple stages of Vrikshasana. The simplest is the feet on the ankle. So this is also part of Vrikshasana. As long as your feet is not touching the ground, it is okay. But only thing that is probably not allowed is feet completely on the ankles or feet on the knees, because you'll be putting a lot of pressure on the areas of the leg which cannot take that pressure. So keep either your legs on the calf muscles or keep it on the thigh muscles. But the ultimate pose would be to put your feet right next to your groin region, right in the pelvic cavity. So let's, do whatever best you can. Focus on a point which is far off, straight to your eyes. It's all about focus. Other leg. The next asana that we have is, um, it is called a flying horse or Vimanasana. Either way, it's called as. So let's do whatever it's known as. Stay on the yoga mat, vertical, hands to the side to give you that balance. Ideal way is when you raise your body, bring your hands to the side, and then slowly bring it forward. Let's start from here and then go down. Other way around. The next one is Ardha Kati Chakrasana. Again, feet together, hands out, and then stretch. Come back up, get the stretch. Next is again Pada Hastasana itself, but we'll do it in a Krishna Pada Hastasana. So let's keep the right leg fixed, left leg goes around. Make yourself comfortable. Now, since the right leg is fixed, keep the left hand fixed and wrap the right hand around the left hand. Get the stretch. Pull your hands up, legs down. Other way around. Left leg fixed, right leg goes around to balance that. Right hand is fixed, left hand goes around, stretch. The next few asanas are going to be Trikonasana state. Variations in the spread leg state. I wouldn't call it as Trikonasana, but the legs spread state. Spread the legs, and then you want to do it. Spread the legs, and then we'll start with Shirsha Padasana. So where we touch the forehead to the feet. So that's the first asana. But because we are not done any leg spread asana, we'll start with Samakonasana. No, Parshvakonasana. I'm sorry. Parshvakonasana is hands spread out, and then keeping the right leg fixed. The right hand goes down as you exhale. Left hand goes up. Get the stretch. Come back up. Other way around. Right toe, left toe turns around. Right feet forward. The body is still looking forward. Exhale and go down. Other way around. Body is still looking forward. Exhale, go down. Last time. The next part now we will do is Padasirshasana. Since we have already done one side bending, we'll continue with that. So let's spread. Uh, the ideal way is without bending the knees, touch the forehead to the ground. That's what Iyengar book says. But the other book, Swami, I forgot this, forgot the name. There's another book which I had read where it says, bend the knees and touch the complete forehead to the ground. So it is basically Parshvakonasana with the head on the ground. So different schools have different names or different types for this asana. There are two different asana itself, but we'll do whatever best we can. Ideally, if you can touch the forehead to the ground, that's the best. Otherwise, we'll do the bent one. Right leg, right feet pointing outward, left feet pointing straight. Bend down and touch take the hands from inside, wrap it around. That gives you stability, and then go down. Come back up. Other way around. Left feet outward, right feet straight. Bend down. Wrap it from inside. Wrap the feet from inside. And then go down. One more time. We'll try with the regular Padishirshasana, directly touching in the best way possible. Probably not uh, directly going down, but whatever best we can. Hands to the back. Other side. Next is again this leg spread. This is a series of two asanas. That's a Veerbhadrasana. It's famously called warrior pose. It's one of the prescribed asanas for women who are in the last trimester, even in the last trimester. It's a part of prenatal, yoga. So even in the last trimester, this and then Baddha is are the preferred exercises. So let's spread the legs. Right toe to start with goes out, left goes forward. Body is twisted, so you twist from your waist, looking on the right side. Hands out as you bend, push your hips forward, and then push your chest forward. So the entire abdomen goes forward, and then neck goes backward. So it gives you a long, good stretch at the back, but keep the left leg straight. Other side. We'll do the next variation. There is a hands upward. The side and the upward hands gives you, a relaxation or stretches on the different parts of your back. So let's try that. Hands up. They're straight. They're not joint. They're out open, and then go down. Last. The last exercise for today is a Surya Namaskar. I think most of us know the Surya Namaskar. So we'll do it for about 3 rounds. 3 rounds as in three times. And then we'll go to the Shavasana. So stay to the tip of the yoga mat. Hands in the pranam posture. Om Mitraya Namaha. Second time. Om Ravaye Namaha. Down. This time, take the left leg backward. The last time. Om Suryaya Namaha. Whenever you're done with 3 of them, we'll go into the Shavasana state. Feet apart, hands apart. Focus on your breath. Slowly bring it back. Turn to the side. Sit up. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Thank you. Thanks, everyone. So this is a new set of asanas that I've been read the books and then we have been practicing from Monday. Till last week we were having only a set of, I think, about 140 or 150 asanas that we were repeating. Now I've added about 100 more. So the typical repeat of the asana, other than the regular breathing practices, will be usually once in around 4 months. So around once in 4 weeks. So if you see a feedback or if you want a change in the way the asanas are being sequenced, please let me know, because this is also new to me. These asanas are newly added in my glossary. So if you feel any changes are needed, please let me know.
Prabhaji, namaste.
Namaste.
Just one question. Like, actually, it is very interesting to get introduced to different asanas every other day. But what you would advise us to have as a routine? Like these
Surya Namaskar is Pranayama
uh,
and Surya Namaskar are the basics. If you ask, my personal choice would be
okay.
Pranayama and Surya Namaskar.
Okay. So these different asanas, actually, how frequently we need to practice, because there are hundreds and 200s of asanas you have been teaching us.
Yeah.
So,
So the way we have sequenced it is, it goes in a cycle. So today, last 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we have been doing asanas. Asana part has been only on the standing posture, most of the asanas. And then breathing practices have always been on sitting and standing. So that varies. But next would be the sitting. So they're categorized as sitting, standing, and prone and supine asanas. So the plan is to cycle everything. So we do one round of everything and then repeat it. So what happens is and usually what we do is we don't do the asana once. We do it at least 2 times, sometimes 3 times, depending on the complexity. So what happens is if you keep doing all of these asanas, and if you see, all of them are basically the same asana but with little bit of variations. Either it's forward bending or backward bending or sideward bending with little bit of variations. So the more and more different variations of asana we do, the flexibility in the body comes from asana point of view. And when we do it in a cycle, it gives us an exposure.
thank you. Yeah.
Sorry, Auntie, you had raised a hand. Sridevi, I think Auntie had something.
Oh, that could have been a touch screen thing.
No, I understand that. Okay.
I'll check with her if she has a question. I'll keep you posted.
Sure. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you.